Today, we'll be visiting with Jane Zian from the Complete Sheep Shop and Northern Illinois Wool and Fiber Mill. We're going to learn the process of converting sheep wool into yarn. Jane and her family raise about 30 head of Shetland and Scottish black-faced sheep for their wool, which they then eventually turn into yarn in the mill. Let's take a closer look.
These are some examples of different kinds of wool, and this is all natural colored wool. We didn't dye it or anything. They're all natural colors. So you can see there's this black, and so this is what we talk about in wool. It has a crimp. See how it's kind of wavy?
Oh yeah, I see it.
And that makes really nice yarn. And then we also talk about fiber length. So the fiber length is going to be how long it is when you can pull it apart. So this one's pretty long. That again makes really nice yarn. If you have a short fiber, it's hard to make nice yarn. And then the different kinds will have different softness. You can't feel this, but the black one's a little bit coarser than the white one or the gray one, and the gray one's really soft.
Absolutely.
So it makes a difference in how kind of yarn that you make also. But the gray one has a lot of that nice crimp in it too, nice waviness. And the white one is a little bit, but it's also very much shorter fiber. You can see that fiber length is short. So they'll make different kinds of yarn. And
now when I touch this and I touch my fingers, I feel something. What is that?
That's correct. So this wool is not washed. And when you have raw wool that's not washed, the oil in there, or the sticky, kind of greasy, is called lanolin. And lanolin is very important in how wool will work with the sheep. So if you say this is the end that's kind of on the sheep at the end, the lanolin and the fibers in the wool keep water away from the sheep's body. So it'll keep the water coming out towards the end of the wool, and so they may look really wet, but they're really dry on the inside, and that's important, especially if you think about the Shetlands and the Shetland Islands. They're an island, and there's a lot of rain and a lot of wind, but the Shetlands do really well there because their wool kind of takes care of them. And when you the nice thing about wool is that translates to the things that you make with wool. So if you make a pair of socks that are wool socks, they're going to be dry on your feet, and they're also going to be warm. And that lanolin and the fiber structure is very important to that. It makes wool really unique to other fibers.
And it's a natural protectant for the sheep.
Yeah, and when you wash wool, you can get that lanolin out, and then if you separate that lanolin, it makes a really nice hand cream.
I can feel that. It feels like hand cream.
If you work with raw wool for a while, your hands will be really, really soft.
Interesting.
And once the wool has been sheared, we take it and we do what's called skirting. So the first step is skirting, and that means take all the dirt and hay, shake it out, kind of get a lot of the dirt and hay out if you can. And then we wash the wool. So we wash the wool in these restaurant sinks. We put about 5 pounds in each sink, and we put it in the nets just so it doesn't go down the drain and clog up the drains. We wash in 185 degree water. So it's really warm water, just under boiling, and that helps get that lanolin out. And we wash with Dawn dishwashing soap because that helps get the oil out, and we wash it twice and we rinse it 3 times. So it'll soak here for about 45 minutes, and then we'll do the next process. And it's real important that you don't agitate it or change your temperature of water, because wool has a tendency to come together. The fibers will come together in what we call felting. So if a wool felts, then you can't reverse that. So it's very similar to if you put your wool sweater in the dryer and it turns out a size for your doll.
Yeah, exactly.
It has shrunk, right?
Right.
Or felted. And so
Right.
we're very careful when we wash it that we don't have that happen. And then we just soak it and we don't agitate it at all. So you couldn't put it in your washing machine.
Do you just drain the water?
We just drain the water, and then we also spin it here. You can spin the water out You just can't agitate at all.
Oh, okay.
And then we put on the drying racks here, which with the fans, we just lay it out and let it dry, and let the fans go over it, and it dries in about 2 days.
Oh, that's pretty fast. Do you have to turn it over in
Sometimes
between times,
if the
or?
humidity is really high, but it'll dry pretty well with the fans.
Interesting. So we've moved into the wool mill, and we're going to learn about all the steps that are going to turn that sheep's wool into yarn that we can use to make clothing.
So the first step is called picking. This is a bag of wool that we washed, and it's a white wool that you can see that we talked about. It's pretty soft, pretty crimp. So we're going to put it on the belt here, and it's called picking. It's going to go in through this machine here, which feeds it in, and then there has the spikes in there that go around really fast. And what it's doing is it's opening the fiber up. So it's just opening it up. It's been picked. And it's just really opened that fiber up compared to this one.
Oh yeah, big difference.
And that helps in the processing. It also helps to get some of the hay and stuff out. Okay, so once it's picked, it throws it into this room here for us, and then we just get it out of the room so it's all
So this machine is going to just shoot it into that into that room.
Shoots it right into there.
So it's kind of like a big comb going through the wool.
Yeah, it's kind of more of it
Or
pulling
brush.
it apart, right? Then we'll get to the carder. So this is a different wool. Again, this is a natural brown that's going to go into the carder, and this is what it's like a big dog brush. So these rollers in here are covered with really sharp. Like a dog brush, really sharp little spikes, and it's actually combing the wool out. And what we're gonna, it's called carding, and we're gonna watch it run and then go up to the front, and you can see how it comes out more. The big roller, it's putting it onto the big roller, and then the smaller rollers are taking it on, putting it off, and actually doing the carding. And then this is a comb that's combing it off and putting it through here like us to make a sliver for us. And this is called roving. And you can see that the fibers are all kind of lined up a little bit nicer than they were at the other end. And carding, that's what carding does. It actually brushes it out into nice, even fiber. This fiber then, roving, is ready for somebody who uses a hand spinning wheel to spin it into yarn. You can also use it for different felting projects or different projects. Some people do some weaving with roving, but mostly people will take this and put it on a spinning wheel and spin it to the yarn themselves.
So when they spin it, they use this whole amount at one time, or does this get divided?
They'll get divided. They'll take a little piece of it off, and they'll feed it into the spinning wheel, and then it makes a thinner thread as it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
Next step is what we call drafting, and this is a wool that it's not from our blue sheep. This is a wool that we dyed to a navy blue color because that's what the customer wanted us to do, and now we're going to spin it. So we have to send it through this series of combs. So it's a series of combs like this. They're in here like that and like that. And it pulls the roving through the combs, and it's just lining those fibers up ever so much more so they're perfect. So you're going to make a very nice even yarn. That's why you would do that. We do it twice. We're going to bring 2 of these in at a time, and then once we get that done, we'll do it again at 2 at another time. Sometimes we put in 3, depends on the fiber. Comes out there, and it's just a lot more even and lined up and a little bit thinner as it comes out.
Yeah.
It'll put it in this barrel for us. a nice round pattern, and it'll count the yardage for us, so we know how much yards are in a barrel.
Oh,
and then we can line up and we can get the same amount of yards on one of our spinning frames. So again, it's just lining those fibers up ever so more even, and kind of dragging that through those combs and lining the fiber up.
So even though it combined 2 at a time, it came out much smaller.
Right,
and
it came out
more
as
specific.
one, and it's kind of stretching the fiber as it pulls it through there also. So you'll end up with a little more than you had over here. The weight is the same, but the yardage is different. And in from the back in the roving is going to come down through here, and it's going to make the yarn right there. So see how it's making it a lot thinner and spinning it and giving a little twist to the yarn. And I'll show you how
So that happens right in here?
it happens right between here and here.
Okay.
And this is going to go around really fast, and it's going to put the yarn onto the spindle for us. And so I'll show you how it goes. It's just a little bit loud. Okay, so it's spinning it right there, and it's making it into yarn right there, and putting it onto the spindle. And the green one, I guess, is harder to see than I thought, but there's 2 of them going around. It only 1, but it looks like 2. And that's where you make your yarn, right there. So we have about 1,000 yards in here. It'll spin in about an hour. And usually we'll spin more than 1 at a time.
And is this what the customer will get then? Is the yarn?
Yes.
Okay.
Not quite finished yet, but if we turn it off, you can see that again right there. It's a little easier to see there, but I just wanted you to see how it fed in there. But that's where it makes the yarn right there. And so if we take one that we've already made, so this is 1 strand of yarn, and you can see how that looks like what you would knit with. What we'll do with this, and when we get it all done, is we'll take these 2, we'll put them up here, we reverse the twist on the machine so it's going the other way, and we're going to put it together as a 2-ply yarn, so it's going to be a little stronger, and it's going to be 2-ply. So it's going to come together, it's going to twist it together like this. And it'll do that on the machine. And that's what it looks like. So that's your finished yarn.
It looks just like if you bought yarn at the store.
Exactly. And so we can make different kinds of yarn. We can make it different thicknesses. We can make it thinner. We can make it thicker. We can make 2 or 3 together like this. We can do the different colors.
Well, Jane, thank you so much for all your knowledge today. I think all of us, especially the students, have learned so much about how things that we actually wear and use. Think about this place next winter. If you're wearing your hat or your gloves or your scarf or some slippers that are made from wool, they very possibly could have started at Jane's house. You never know. But remember how they all start with a sheep from someplace on somebody's farm. See you next time.